What's up, poker people? This is Funchampion in the house, and today we are doing day 21 of 66 days of hand reading. Um, Today, just lot many things got in the way, which were priority, and I had to get to them. So we had to push this one a bit far off in the evening today. Today, never mind. Let's get on with it. Let's get going.
A little bit more important than just learning. What I'm really hoping is that you guys are taking me up on this and doing your own hand reading every single day.
Absolutely.
If you're watching this on YouTube or on Twitch, either way, within the notes, the video notes for every video, I put the hand history, so you can actually go through the hand history and range my hand for yourself using that hand history.
That's interesting.
Make the today. Gotta all these. This,
We'll go ahead to the hand without knowing much
zoomed
about it,
in
so that we don't have any
blind once
preconceived
again.
understanding about what's going to happen.
Table. Okay.
All right. Ecolab. Let's fire Ecolab. Let's go Ecolab.
Pre in the big blind. Let's see what happens.
Team Ecolab. Ecolab.
Oh, and then of course the other tool that we always do hand reading with, shebang. Oh, Johnny Walker, Black Label, huh? Black Label decides to min open here. We're hand reading the villain here in this one, and I decide just to call.
Right.
Okay. Let's look at the villain's range first, right here. So he's a 38-17, loose, almost loose aggressive, loose and kind of passive. You can see that gap of 21 means that he does call a whole lot, and I'm talking about the gap between VPIP and PFR. He calls a lot, but he does raise right here in a steal position. Let's see what his stealing percentage is. Only 11% from the button, so he really doesn't steal that much, as we can see, just 17% pre-flop raising right here for the PFR.
That would be interesting to see. How does a tracker or HUD stat actually differentiate between a steal and a legit raise? I mean, does it have to be a holding which does not have equity or not a usual open? What does it mean that they're going for a steal? That's an interesting thing to actually check. We know what we mean when we go for a steal. That is, we just want to collect the blinds. We don't want to play a pot with them. That's pure meaning of a steal. But we definitely don't steal with 7-5 off or something like that. We are in position. We are on the button. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, that's an interesting point.
So we can give him a more narrow, slightly more narrow stealing, or button stealing range. We don't want to make him too wide here. So it's a 2-bet range we're dealing with this time. Let's just start with 20%, maybe whittle our way down, or add some hands.
Button. Let's go.
What is his raise first in on the button is a lovely, just 1 out of 9, 11%. Okay. Can't put too much stock in that. It's only been 78 hands. Well, actually, we can say he's pretty tight. I bet he's raising every single pair. Maybe he's staying away from some of these ugly offsuit stuff.
Why not? Let's give him just our
most people raise 7-6 suited. Maybe not 9-7. Let's get rid of these. Let's just keep the strong Broadway. So this is 19%.
40 base.
It's a small sample. What was it? 1 out of 9 instances, right? 11%. Yeah, 1 out of 9 right here. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with a pretty narrow range. We could add some more suited 9s, maybe some connectors and stuff, but we're not going to do it. Not this time. We'll just keep him like this.
All right, yo, what's up?
Okay.
Hey Arjun, today we got a little bit late. We had some priority works to finish in the morning, so now we are on our study because this has to be done every day. I'm probably gonna get late for my grind, but this has to be done. Let's go.
Okay, sounds good. So if this is his range,
so we have just begun the hand reading exercise. This won't take long, probably another 30 minutes, 25 minutes. But the action so far is just that the button is open. They are fairly passive. They don't raise so much by themselves. They call a lot. So let's continue.
Which is a 19% range, 250 combos. 19%, 250 combos. So what are we calling with? We have to assign some kind of a hand to see what we're up against. I am often going to call. How big is the stack? $33. Okay, that's not bad. $33. Let's say we are calling with 33. Let's give us 33 as well. So pocket three.
Actually, this is perfectly fine time for me. All right, Molecule, hello, hello.
We're set
Welcome to the
mining in
stream,
this
guys.
instance. Don't.
Probably will push our other tasks in the morning then, and probably sit down with the study and then get into the whole, pre-game routine.
Know for sure. It's a mystery hand, but
That
possibly.
makes sense.
Oh, so if we do have the if we do have a small pair, we only have 43% equity versus his 57% range, or 57% equity with a much, like, he has every single better pair in his range.
Right.
All of these stuff that we're chopping, 50-50 with our under pair and 2 over cards. I mean, yeah, we're a dog at this point, but who knows what comes on the flop. Flop, king, queen, 5, heart, spade, club.
Wow, okay.
Queen 5, heart, spade, club. Perfect. So on this board, top pair or better, open and a straight draw. In the combos, he only hits 26% of the time. So his opening range on this 2 high, 1 low board only hits 26%.
2 high, 1 low. All right, that's an interesting way to cite a board.
So,
Rainbow.
Our range, our calling range does hit this pretty well. We have every single Broadway in our calling range, other than like the best ace king and ace queen, stuff like that. But
That's
all the other
interesting.
Broadways hit something good on this board. He's got a ton of under pairs, nines through, or jacks through deuces, I guess, that aren't going to be too happy on this board. So I think our range in general hits this just a little bit better than his range does in general. But let's see what the
Hold on. What
action is.
What exactly is the action?
And if
Let me go back.
okay.
I don't think it is what it is.
What is his 2 row here? He doesn't steal that much.
Oh yeah,
So
you had the big blind. Okay.
So there are 9 instances, right?
All right.
Kind of a hand is a stack. If we do have a small pair, we only have 40. Perfect.
My bad.
So on this board,
skipping.
Top pair or better, open and a straight draw. In the combos, he only hits 26% of the time. So his opening range on this 2 high, 1 low board only hits 26%. So our range, our calling range does hit this pretty well. We have every single Broadway in our calling range,
Wow, okay.
other than like the best ace king and.
A small argument can be made for a very tight opening range. If somebody always prefers tight opening range, but that is extremely Broadway heavy, or tens plus always, or nines plus always, if not completely Broadway, it could be king 10 or whatever, king 9, king 7, and none of these low pairs, if that's the case. In that case, a lot of concentration of good hands lie with decent kickers with the pre-flop raiser, the button in this case. And the calling range, on the other hand, has to be extremely wide. I don't understand why he's saying that it should hit our calling range much better. It makes sense because, and only because, big blind would probably defend something like this. And that goes to say that we have a lot of king x, a lot of queen x combos, suited and off suited. I do agree with that. Like, for example, if we have 700 hands, let's say, give or take, 700 hands, if we have all of these in our calling range, let's just say these are not in our calling range. Yeah, all right, so 650 hands, like, yeah, that makes sense. I trim off a few more. All right, so this looks like a decent calling range in my opinion. 600 hands. And if in these hands I'm slowly trimming as I'm talking, something is missing. What is it holding? Let me get my specs. No, I can see everything very clearly, don't worry about it. All right, 600 hands, cool. So if we are calling with 50% of our range, which is 50%, 600 combos, and look how efficiently I use Equilab, by the way. So we paste it here, and what we see is, if we want to see how well we hit, the top pair hands. You just remove, paint along, like love doing this, all of us. All right. Out of 600 combos, a whopping 262 combos, like probably almost 40% of our range hits the board so well right now, which includes a lot of two pair, lot of pairs with backdoor flush draws and stuff. So it definitely looks very good for our range as compared to, like, if we were to compare just the combos that they would be going in from the button. Like, they have 244 combos to begin with from the button if they're opening that tight, and we definitely have so many combos, like 262 combos of us beating them on the flop. So that's probably what Sky means
Ace
when he
queens.
says that this board hits our calling range so much better. That's what I think.
Stuff like that. But all the other broadways hit something good on this board. He's got a ton of under pairs, nines through, or jacks through deuces,
Indeed.
I guess, that aren't going to be too happy on this board. So I think our range in general hits this just a little bit better than his range does in
Mhm.
general. But let's see what the action is.
Nice.
And if we did have pocket threes, I guarantee we're folding in this instance. He bet a full pot and then a call. Okay.
Interesting.
Well, what is the C bet? 57%, 4 out of 7. Okay, so he likes to C bet a decent amount. This is probably not C betting full pot with us like complete whiffs, like what, 7-6. He doesn't even have. He has 7-6 suited, so 7-6 of diamonds probably not even going to be betting here. 9-8's not betting. A random like weak ace like ace 3 might not bet, depending on the suits. Maybe if he has a backdoor, he might. C betting 57%. So let's see what he's C betting. Totally C betting sets, trying to get value out of us. Two pairs, over pairs, top pairs are C betting. Middle pair here, what are those?
I've been coming to think, as a cash player, it is perfectly fine to bet range versus range considering deeper stacks in the tournaments. In shorter the stacks, range betting goes to dust bin so many times. Actually, it does, and I guess it only works a decent amount when you actually have some solid gut shots and overs to go with it. Like if you have ace king and if the board is like jack, five, deuce, or something like that, only in that case it makes sense to peel peel a card and then probably go with MDF, like on the turn, where if they bet like half pot, you still have decent equity, some implied odds to probably check raise or get some value on the river, and yeah, take a big pot home. Like if you hit a top pair over there, you're definitely good. Either way, ace or king. But as like exactly like you said, Arjun, as soon as we move away from the 60 big blind category, as soon as we get in the last 1.5 2 hours of late reg, uh things just go haywire, and we are not exactly betting the range, we are just betting like some obvious hands or some obvious boards, like ace high board. You're betting versus a big blind and they are likely folding it, um especially versus a loose player who is just overcalling you. Yeah, you bet ace high board, or try and get value from an ace if you think you're gonna make a set on the turn.
The various queens. I can see those doing the C bet,
All right.
even though it is a full pot. Let's see what he does on the turn. But it's very possible that he could be C betting full pot, just trying to get us to fold all of our draws, or just trying to get value out of us with weak draws and stuff. I don't know exactly what he's thinking, but I can see opponents C betting full pot with second pair hands in position. He's maybe trying to put max pressure on us to get us to fold. Weak pairs. Oftentimes those are betting less. I'm going to leave the weak pairs out of the range. I mean, we
I
could
don't
do
think
something
weak
like
pairs are
put pocket
betting
jacks
pot.
in. No, I'll just take all the weak pairs out. For
Yeah,
betting full pot, feels to me like he'd be betting
a middle pair,
75 cents, so
yeah,
just
queen.
$1 instead of full pot at that point. Ace highs, I'm not going to say those are betting. Open-enders, totally betting. Gut shots, 10-9, ace-jack, ace-10. Yeah, those can be betting.
Yeah,
Two-card backdoor flushes.
that's interesting. Are they betting
We
pot?
don't know much about the guy. Let's say it is just the flop. It's only one street. You can't put much stock into flop bets. Turn and river bets are where you can put them on value hands, but
Yeah, take
it's
them
very
off
possible
a few
on the
hands.
flop he could be doing this.
Yeah. All right.
57%.
So a lot of
Yeah, let's
hands
say
going
that.
ahead.
So what we have him set at, he's betting
Button.
72% of his flop range. Yeah.
72% of his flop range. All right. So 244 is his opening range, in my opinion. Going down to ace 8 off and stopping at king 10 suited and stuff like that, and not going down to 7 6 suited. That's the range I give them. And obviously on the flop, I'm gonna take away all these beautiful hands. And like we said, jack 10 is an open-ended straight draw, which is betting. 10-9 suited, not so much. Again, a gut shot could be going for it. 7-8 and stuff. Ace 8 is clearly folding, and ace 9 is folding. 10, yeah, gut shot. All these good pairs, and ace high with backdoor equities also hanging around, but probably betting pot over here with a gut shot and a flush draw. Probably not so much with a7, not so much with a6. All of these are like with a backdoor with a 5 on the board. These also have a gut shot straight draw, some gut shot flush, backdoor flush draw to go with it. So all right, I'll go with 142 out of 200. So about, yeah, 70% of hands. I am also.
Seems a little bit high, but it's one of those boards too. If he has any ace, any king, any queen, he is betting right here,
Yeah.
and all those different gut shots and draws and stuff. So I'm good with keeping him in with this kind of a wider
70%.
range.
That's what.
Don't want to narrow
That's
him too
exactly what
much,
we
not just yet.
should have done it before
So
he did that.
72%
It's okay.
and
We agree with
149
that.
hands.
Just remove. Nice.
Gravy.
Gravy indeed.
And obviously we just call right here.
Yeah.
So at this point, if we do have the threes, we really don't like our hand at all. Only 33% equity.
Oh
Queen
boy.
of diamonds paired the board. That would be awesome if we had a queen, of course. Just check calling. I mean, my guess, really though, is that I check called a full pot size bet. Jack 10 is a possibility. I doubt I have like ace 10 for a gut shot in my range, check calling a full pot size bet. Unless it was like ace jack of hearts with a backdoor draw plus the gut shot. It's possible I could. But most likely I called with a decent king, king 10, king 9, king jack. I probably called with queens as well. King, queen, ace, queen, which if I didn't 3-bet it pre-flop. So ace, queen, king, queen, queen, jack, pocket queens. No, I would have 3-bet pocket queens for sure. Queen, jack, queen 10, even queen 9 and queen 8 suited I probably would have called because it was just a min raise pre-flop. So I have a ton of queens in my range. He has some as well, but I think my range hits that much more than.
And again, as we have seen already, what exactly does he mean by our range hits the board a lot more? We have many more queens. Is the fact that we have so many queen combinations with us. Like, just for example, if we have to consider, let's just put in another queen on the board, queen of D, and let's just pull these up. So now if we were just to look at the amount of queen X combos in our range, it's very interesting in my opinion. I don't think it's interesting. Well, you're stupid. All right, so these are the, just the queen X's in our range, which are like insane, right? So 68 combos in our range are queen X's, like 68, which which qualify right now. But all the queens, all the good queens, all the mid strength kicker kind of queens, and all the weak queens, everything is there in our range here as well. As much as you'd like to go shallow on the offsuit side of the kickers, you would have those many combinations of queens as well. Like for example, if we add this one, we would significantly add more combos as compared to suited ones. But then again, you give up the advantage of actually hitting a flush draw, hitting a flush with three cards of the same suit on the board. Hero may have king jack or king 10, villain jack 10 suit. Let's see on showdown, absolutely. So my point is, when Sky is talking about we have a lot more queens. Earlier I was always so not sure of it. Like, how are we saying that we have more queens? There are same amount of queens in the deck, so why should we have more queens? I mean, that was just a dumb joke, but why should we have more queens? And the reason is our defending range is so wide. We are not folding queen 5 suited, but the button is probably not opening with queen 5 suited. That's the reason we could have these combos, whereas these combos will be folded by the button. Or rather, queen 6 off is definitely going to get folded by the button, unless he's a loose maniac who wins against me most of the times. All right, so 68 combos of queens in our range, from whatever 500, 600, doesn't matter. But the point is, we have so many more queen X combos in our range, which makes it easier for us.
And his does. Let's see
To represent a queen.
what the action is. I check. Maybe I'm planning to check raise. And he just checks behind.
Sorry about that.
Interesting. So he's got 31. It's only a $3 pot. If he had a killer hand right now, if he had pocket kings, if he had a random queen, if he had pocket fives, he would be betting just to try to get some value out of me.
True.
That second queen isn't going to scare his value hands. Definitely not. So we can for sure. Oh.
And you know how we think about it. Whenever there are two cards or the board is paired, we think now the opponent is less likely to have trips, and we bet. When we get called, they show trips. But yeah, statistically speaking, also there are so many fewer combos of queen X in their range if there are two queens on the board.
Quads. No, quads would bet even just half pot or even just $1 to put.
Let's just check it out. How much really? So let's remove all these queens. All right. Button. All right. So button has. Let's just check queen X is in his range. All right. So they have about 39 combos of queen X's as soon as there's one queen on the flop. All right. So if that's the case, 39 combos exist of queens with the button. I deliberately cancelled it. If we turn on, and now if we try and see the amount of combos that it would have with queens, should not be a surprise to see only 25 combos. So we are significantly reducing their probability of having a queen, so many combos going out of their range, just because one queen is blocked from each of these possible combos of having queens with our opponent. All right.
Put some money in because he only has one more street where he could bet if he had quads. It would be a terrible idea to slow play quads here. I mean, just put a buck in, hope that I raise or at least call with like a weak king or even a 5 if he had quad queens right there. So we're taking quads out of the range. Full house, he's got to be betting if he wants our stack. No. Oh, he doesn't have any straights. 3 of a kind. Those would be betting. Let's take those out too. Holy cow. Over pairs?
It's all good hands. We are positive and we are assuming that they're going to bet, like any good, decent, competent player who knows that there's only one round of or one street of betting left, and if they have this strong hand with them, then they should get their money in to get us to call with whatever hand that we might have that we feel good with, because we called on the flop and now is the time to charge us a lot more money to see the river and to get to a showdown, preferably an expensive showdown for us.
I don't think overpairs. Why would he be scared at that point? No,
Hmm.
overpairs would bet for value as well. And so, because he didn't bet, let's take those out of his range. I mean, if it were me, I would totally bet my aces here and then check behind if it was an ugly river, is what I would do. But I think I would double barrel my pocket aces here, as he should as well. Now, these top pair hands. What top pairs are not betting on the second queen? So, let's filter something right here.
King 10
Um,
or King Jack?
if he had ace king, he would be betting for value. I see no reason not to. He doesn't have those in his hand. If he had king jack, I
King
really
10
think
suited
king
King
jack should
Jack.
bet again. It is kind of a weaker kicker, but it's the second best kicker. The only better kicker I would have is ace king, and I didn't 3-bet pre-flop, so he could probably rule ace
Yeah.
king out of my range. So I think he would bet the king jack. Now, the king 10, it is third kicker. I'll keep that in his checking behind range just to control the pot on the card that didn't help him at all. So we'll keep one king or three combos of the one king in his range right there. Let's see here. Weak pairs,
Yeah.
all those random fives, yeah, they would check behind.
Yeah.
Ace
They're not
highs,
betting.
yes, they would check behind. No made hands, yep, could check behind. Open enders, Jack 10, check behind. Gut shots, he still has a lot of gut shots. 10 9, ace 10, ace jack, yeah, totally checking behind right there.
Wow.
It doesn't.
So such a heavy junk to value ratio while they check it to us,
Let's see what his c bet
especially
is
on this turn.
on the flop in the turn. In position c bet. We haven't seen any turn c bets, not even any chances to turn c bet right here.
Yeah,
so we
but
just don't have any read on
samples
that
are
exactly
like
in position
78,
c
so
bet. So
doesn't mean much.
we don't know how often he double barrels. So we're going to say all of the weaker kind of stuff he's checking behind. If he had a better hand, he'd be going for value. So look at that. We did a little bit better narrowing right here. Taking him down to 74 combos and 55% of his turn range, of his flop range. 55% and 74 combos. That's great. We've gone from 250 to 74. So roughly, we've removed roughly a little over 2/3, like 70% of his hand, something like that, which is good. I like seeing that. And it does make sense if he's checking behind all that weaker stuff. He just
Checking behind, yeah, they have position, so they should be ideally charging it. But uh, let's say they have king queen and they are genuinely, just doing backflips in their head or something like that. So if they bet over here, we are very likely to fold. But if they actually check back and show a little bit of weakness, and if we perceive the range to be weak, like we are doing right now, we have some opportunity of leading, betting into the pot out of position on the river. That's probably the only way a strong hand like king queen or even pocket queens are gonna get any value from this squad or this full house that is there in the middle, or even a single queen ace queen or whatever that is. So this check back, this check in position on turn uh, can obviously mean junk 70% of the time, 80% of the time, or probably even 90% of the times. Sometimes with like insanely strong, unbeatable, like a queen's hand, there's no way, we have anything good enough to, keep continuing, especially with a paired board and a decent size bet. So likely getting a fold at smaller bet sizes, likely getting a fold at the bigger ones too. And it's just that the only way to get money out of our stack is probably show some weakness on the turn. That could be one of the strategies. Don't kill me if that's the wrong approach, but I've seen it happen quite often.
just doesn't want to build the pot. His hand isn't strong enough with a weak top pair kind of stuff. And the 10 hits. That 10, it completes a gut shot. Does he have any queen? No, he doesn't have any queen 10 in his range because we removed all the queens. So 10 of clubs. Now that definitely doesn't help us if we do have the under pair right there. In our own range, yeah, we could have checked on the turn with the intent to check raise, hoping he was going to double barrel. So we definitely have queens in our range. Maybe not ace queen, but we have queen jack, queen 10, queen 9, and queen 8, like I said before. So we're going to like this river card right here. And I'm assuming that's why we bet. Okay, bet $2, a little under 2/3 pot, just trying to get some value out of the guy. So I'm going to say I
Interesting.
got a queen. I like my hand.
Oh,
And he raises. So here's a good question I learned from Jonathan Little. What does a sane player, the way he used it, what does a sane player check raise with on this board? The way I'm using it, what does a sane player raise on this river on this board? No flush came in. The ten of clubs completed straights. So no quads, no full houses in his range. Straights are totally raising here. He doesn't have any three, none of those. Two pair.
that's an interesting river indeed.
Is king 10 counterfeited? I mean, a king with an ace beats him because the ace kicker plays. A king jack beats him. I don't think he would raise with two pair. I really don't. Weak pairs raising now. Why would he bluff
No,
now if not
doesn't make sense.
if he didn't bluff the turn? He just checked behind the turn means he has some kind of a showdown hand, or he was on a draw on the turn. I don't think he's bluffing anything. I think he has a straight. He's got to have a straight at this point. Makes the most sense to me. So what do? We do
Good to
just call.
call.
So before we look, I'm going to put him on a straight. This is the range. We've narrowed him down from 250.
Hold on. Abhishek already has a read on the player somehow. And they are probably having Jack 10 suited or Jack Queen, which it should be brutal. And hero may have King Jack or King 10, like you said.
Down to six. Turn and river raises are off in strength. You've got to give those some credit. And I like the call here, unless I had like Jack 9 or Ace Jack for a straight,
No,
or
Ace Jack.
Queen 10, of course, for a full house. I don't like the call. But if I had Ace Jack, if I had the nut straight, I like even a re-raise to $6 here, and then probably re-raise and then fold when he shoves. And if his shoves, it would mean a full house. Um, but I would like a value re-raise on my part if I had a straight. Now, if just having trips on this board when he finally wakes up with some aggression, I am just calling here with trip queens. Yeah, most likely.
Not bad.
Good. So I'll fill that in a sec. What do we got? Ace Jack for the straight. All right, we nailed it. Queen. Oh, what a bummer. I mean, he had us pre-flop. We flopped.
Yeah.
We outflopped him, outturned him, but then he rivered us. But so be it. I mean, my guess is on the turn I was going for the check raise, hoping he would double barrel right there. Only
Too
78
bad.
hands. Don't know much about him. I see. The thing is, when you check call the flop and then suddenly donk lead out on the turn on a paired board, it often does look like you have that card.
Yeah.
If we had let out, on
Yeah, just missed King Jack was Ace
this
Jack. I know.
for that $2 bet that I made, if we let out for $2, he could probably. Actually, he has Ace Jack. He'd probably still call. So we probably would have gotten value out of most bets with his check behind range.
Right.
But I was just assuming that he bet the flop. He would just bet again. So I missed out on value. But in the
Yeah.
end, I mean, I guess you could say I saved myself money by going for the check raise on the turn. And he did have Ace Jack. That is so lovely. I love it when a plan comes together. Tiny range, 16 combos, 24% of the turn range. Nice. So from 250 down to 6.
All right, that's interesting that they actually, just went with that gut shot and such a crucial check back on the turn by them, which actually gave them a free card. Now that speaks a lot about the importance of position that you would use in a game. In position you could float a little bit because you might be able to realize your equity if check to, but when you check back out of position you often showcase weakness, and if your opponent picks up on it and they want to just go at you aggressive, it's very likely that you are not going to realize a good portion of your equity. uh, we were in fact in a better position, although we are out of position with respect to equity on the turn. And like Sky said, if you were to lead out on the turn right after calling a pot size bet, we would clearly represent a queen and not get value from most gut shots or most draws or weaker pairs, or even a king probably would fold. A nitty player could fold a king if we are betting a paired board especially after calling a pot size flop. And if you bet like 60% or even 30-40% pot, that still would make a sizable pot and a
16.
sizable bet call.
I mean, that's we were him checking behind on that turn card because any value hands with $23 behind in a $3 pot, we basically have 7-to-1 stack to pot ratio. He would be betting to get max value out of us. So his check behind allowed us to, and that's what often happens with checking behind, or when you check, it often caps your range because checking means that you just want to see the next card for free. You want to see showdown for free,
Yeah.
whatever it is. When you're
It
betting and
also,
raising, that means you're going.
I disagree with this generic statement that checking behind does necessarily mean that you want to realize some free equity or see a river card or another card for free, because whenever you have quads on this board, we what are we doing? I mean, are we betting out? Probably sometimes, but most of the times if we want value in an insanely nutted hand, uh, you probably get it by being slightly passive, especially with aggressive player with us. In this case, however, they led out. They bet big on the flop, which meant that they couldn't really continue that as a barrel with a gut shot on the turn, especially because the board is bet. If it was brick of some kind, probably they would still go ahead and bet at least 40 to 60% pot, and anyway hit a good river, and they would continue that line of betting. But apart from that, if they don't make that river, it becomes really a tough situation if they would have continued to bet on the turn with a gut shot. Again, that's probably not a good idea to go big on a gut shot and just fold river. Then you have just given up a lot of chips over a gut shot. It just feels wrong in my head.
Going for value. Checking means not wanting.
Although I agree, the implied odds of hitting a gut shot are insane. Like, we did not believe that they had a straight. We just called with our queen, trips on the board.
Value and wanting to see the next card for free. Cool beans, I love it. Another successful hand reading, ace jack this time in another
Indeed.
mystery hand. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you tomorrow
right.
when we do day
So-
22 of 66.
All right. So this was a nice session of hand reading. Very, very interesting to see how most players term a check back to be an sign of almost absolute weakness, but is often also the preferred line taken when you flop the nuts or when you turn the absolute nuts on the board. Like the best full house. Like yesterday in one of the games, I had ace king. I opened. I wasn't opening too many hands. I opened, and I opened with ace king, and the flop comes ace king. So I don't think I'm getting any value over there if I lead out. I have to give the opportunity for somebody else to bluff that they have an ace, that probably they have a king X, and since there are two aces on the board, nobody has an ace. So, and it's a three-way pot with ace king, and we have flopped the nuts. There's no way I can bet and get called. So it makes sense to just check and let them like induce that bluff from them, especially multi-way pot. Somebody's going to take a stab because most people don't really play multi-way pots as honestly as they should. Anyway, having said that, this was a wonderful session. I'll keep that in mind and also draw a few notes from that to apply and observe in today's games. I hope you all guys make the most of this study, routine and study sessions. These study sessions that we are doing, try and use Equilab, try and use whatever tools you have just to check out how you think of a range in terms of the hand, and in terms of what the player has shown on in showdowns earlier. All right, I think this should do it. Thank you so much for joining, and just keep smashing the tables, guys. Not with your tilt, but with your chips. Bye bye.